Yeah, you want to go in there? Okay. Let me know. Testing, testing. Yeah.
Well, I know, I'm not really. There are two pianos here. One, I do not realize that today that's gonna be crazy. That they signed up for these things, but they didn't show up. End of story.
So it should have been this month. Then we go to the. And I just sit there. With a blank screen. Pictures of me. Really, it's right around there. We're actually. Nice. No sign is going to go on the sign.
Your mom.
Now, I couldn't get on my iPhone. But I have lines of sit with you. I don't understand. I was just on his car. I knew on the ground. That's not. No, it wasn't. Oh, really? We're going to get my sister. Oh, I think I think that and so you have to.
Be too easy. That's so true. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I do that.
Well, hello. Did you get it?
I got the information on Eric. Yes, and I sent you.
Did you get that?
I have not looked at it. Okay, good. I like.
How many people normally come? How many people? All right.
You know, it's on film too, I think, or on 990. That's probably somebody there. Things they have. Chair, they don't usually set it up as big. They community chair. It wasn't on purpose. Right. We're gonna have a very small audience. That was like, for the calendar, see. Yeah. For the calendar, see. So if I
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, well, you know, it's on Saturday, it's fun. Yeah.
Summer seat. Or seven. Oh, it's.
Yeah. It's finally.
No.
Because it's crazy, they're doing that. I will run off the day. They're going to, at this time. I know that the 916. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the rest of it is always Thursday. Well, okay, well.
Good afternoon. Whoa, there we go. I'm sure you can hear me okay. Very good. So there was some discussion whether welcome online if you're watching online or in your apartment. How the room is set up. This is only my second community chat. So do you like sitting over here? Do you want to come over this way? No, you like it over there? You can stay there. If I don't turn this way, just let me know and I'll try and turn back. Do you want me to tell him? Do you want me to call him? I'm just teasing you. All right. So community chats, from what I understand, is you all asking questions and me answering those questions. So I'm happy to do so. I do something like this at my community too. We call it bistro chats, and it's every Thursday morning. So I meet with the residents every Thursday morning for coffee. They have coffee and I kind of sit in the middle and they kind of just pepper me with questions and fun stuff. So happy to do that. Just so as a small update, tomorrow there also is the budget meeting. So if you really like numbers, feel free to come to that. Also, Debbie Gonzalez, who is the Vice President of Operations for this community, will be here tomorrow also to give an update on the Executive Director search progress and where they're at. I don't actually know, so I'll be learning just like you will tomorrow where they're at. So, to my understanding, she said she would either do it before or immediately after the budget meeting, but either way, it'll be during that time. My guess is before, because that's probably a prime question that everyone has. Nobody really cares about numbers, but I think everybody would be tuning in for that information. So my guess is we'll do that first. And what time might that be? 1 to 2. And I'm double checking to make sure it is on Cubigo, since we just talked about this, to make sure that it's on there and correct. Tomorrow, it is on there from 1 to 2. And it is also on Zoom. It'll also be on the your community channel. Question. What's that? It will be in the GRA. Yes, ma'am. There was a question I did get ahead of time. Many of you know Fred Luis and his family, and there's been some concerns. So people had asked me, I can share some. You probably know more than I do about the health conditions. I can't share that part, but what I can share is a little bit about the breakdown and what happened. I was actually not even made aware that a transition was occurring. I found out when I got an email asking me about it this morning and yesterday. So I am involved very much now with Fred, just so you're all aware. I actually called him, and I actually called the executive director from the other community, Terrace de los Altos. She is coming over here today, and both her and I will be sitting down with Fred this afternoon to come up with a good plan to get everything organized and going forward. How does this thing happen? To be honest with you, this community is a little bit reactionary when it comes to things like this, and it shouldn't be. To be honest with you, in many of our communities, we're very proactive approach when it comes to changing levels of living or seeing declines in resident abilities, ADLs, things like that, and we work with them to get them to the most appropriate level possible. That usually happens over time. There's not many chances where today you're great and tomorrow you need assisted living. That's usually not how it works. It's usually a slower decline, we know about it, we see it, we work with you on it, and then we work to appropriately place you in those levels. And at the same time, we're managing the census, the occupancy in those levels to ensure there's space for everyone. Here, it's been a little bit of a reactive approach, and I am helping to fix those processes as I'm here to ensure that it's a more proactive approach going forward. There's now a weekly meeting with the team where they discuss those internal transfers. So we're working on that. We're getting that fixed going forward. Hopefully that answers most of the question, but if there's a follow-up, I'm happy to take it, or any other questions you have. And also an online question. How do people online ask questions? Send a homing pigeon. I will take it. Yes. So her comment was that it's been going on since June and we're not being really reactive. To be honest with you, I just don't know. I wasn't around for it. Yep. But I do know what has happened now. And I can assure you that we're putting processes in place and doing a full review of all residents here to ensure that we hopefully don't end up in this scenario again, unless it's something that we're going to uncover during this process. Maybe there's one or two out there. I'm hoping I don't uncover any of those, but if we do, we'll deal with those as well. But we'll fix the process going forward so it's not reactionary, or it's not where it's been in process and nothing's been done, which is also unacceptable. Yep.
Was not anything they ever thought would be the way things would work out. The big deal with marketing here is we are a continuing care community. And if you need more care, you will get it, because it is here at all levels. And when that doesn't happen, it upsets residents, it upsets families. And there are a lot of those people here who either move to be near their kids or whose kids are moving to be near the children, so that they can be on hand if they need help.
Yep. I'm going to summarize that for everybody listening, unless you want to repeat it in the microphone. All right. Tell me if I do you justice. Her comment was that individuals move here because it's a continuing care retirement community, and they usually move here to be close to family, to grandchildren and things like that. And when there's not space available at the inn, going to somewhere like TLA is too far, or another community is too far, and we'd like to see that available here. And that's why they moved here. I agree. You're right. To let you know, if we did not ask Fred to go to TLA, I found out that he had made those plans on his own by reaching out to the sales team over there. So I was not aware, I was not involved. It's actually a little bit more of a process than just calling somewhere and saying, hey, I'm coming. There's contractual obligations and obligated groups and things like that that need to be taken care of. Preet, who's the executive director over there, is wonderful, and she's new, so she doesn't really understand how to do a transfer yet. This will be her first one. If it does go through, and if that is the final solution, I will help her understand and how it works, and I'm going to help Fred understand. I've done a couple myself. I actually, from Boise, moved Tyler's grandmother, or his wife's mother, to TLG from Boise back in the day. So I've been doing transfers for a long time. Yep. Yep, I'll jump in. I'll figure out what's going on, and we'll create a plan to fix whatever it is. Whatever that plan looks like, I don't know, but I'm sure you'll know afterwards. I can't tell you, but Fred will.
There was somebody that I didn't see in answers to a question that I had. Okay.
I'm wondering how the memory center works. People who move here to the terraces, say as a couple or as a single, and need to be moved into the memory center, that's one situation. But are there people in the memory center who never lived in the terraces, so to speak, as residents and came from the outside? And what is our obligation to those people as far as over residents' needs?
Sure. So first, and I'll act as both. I'll pass it out and I'll answer the question at the same time. Is one better? It sounds like Probably this one for me, because I can change my voice. That one for residents, because it's a little bit louder, which is probably good. First off, memory care, how does it work? From a life plan community, CCRC, continuing care retirement community, when you move in, you have the access to the whole campus. In your contract, it does guide how that access and how the moves occur. So if you ever reference your contract, you'll say, well, can you move me? Yes, I can. Usually under two circumstances. One of them is safety and security. So if you're not being safe in your current area and we can't continue to ensure that you are safe in that area, I can tell you it's time to move. And dignity. Dignity would look more like, this is the crude example I use in Boise. If you come down to dinner without your pants on a couple times, you may feel like that's a great idea. I'm going to protect your dignity and let you know that maybe that's not a great idea. And we may need to do, so if I need to protect your dignity or your safety, then I will do it. Otherwise, it's actually a combined effort with you, your primary care physician, you're the medical director, like a lot of people are all involved in that process as you go. Now, second part of your question, what about outside people versus inside people? So if people inside are transitioning, they always take priority over outside people. Once an outside person is here, that person is actually contracted with the community. And I did get this question a couple of times. Well, can I just kick them out? I cannot. That would be illegal. We can give 30-day notices to residents here at the community based on our inability to meet their needs. But I can't just kick people out for the fun of it to make room for someone else. That's not an option. So instead, we have to manage that census and we have to do that well. We have to do a good job. We have not done a good job. We need to do a better job at doing that and doing it well. We should know somebody needs memory care and it shouldn't be an immediate thing. So we should be managing that census. What that usually means is if we're looking at filling memory care, which is important, the last thing you all want is for me to leave memory care empty and available and ready for you. Do you know why? Money. It always comes back to money. If I have 18 beds, you have 16 beds here. If I leave 8 of them vacant and I staff it ready to go, unfortunately, what happens is that's a drain on the finances of the community, which leads to higher increases. So you want us to manage the business well enough that there's space at the inn for when you need it, but also that we're filling it up with outside people so we're balancing the budget and making it. So it's a process. It takes finesse, it takes experience, but over time you get very good at it. Many of our communities are very good at it. When you run full occupancy like your community is doing, it's even more important to have those processes in place. Average length of stay in memory care, depending upon the diagnosis right now in the nation, is about 18 months up to 36 months. So 18 to 36 months is the average length of stay in memory care. I think it's probably getting longer. That 36 is turning into 48. It's turning into 3-4 years, 5 years. So we're seeing that increase over time. And a lot of communities are actually developing new ideas and strategies on how to fulfill that need. So, and I'm sure this community will need to do that too. A yearly contract, is that legal? I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I don't know California law. Yeah. I don't know that we would ever go to Yep, I don't know that we would do term limits on our contracts. What we would instead do is look at the licensure and the beds that we're using and how we manipulate that. Assisted living licenses the same as memory care licenses. So if we have 40 beds of assisted living, maybe we increase the amount of memory care and decrease the amount of assisted living. Or we build, or we partner. So many ideas out there.
You just covered that because we're so space limited. And there's not much we can do about it right now.
Yeah, this community is landlocked. It's not like you have an expansion site on the side that we could build. It's not like I could just put another, as we're doing the Galleria project, I'll just add 3 more stories to the top. The town of Los Gatos would probably go against that, is my guess. They probably don't like high rises a ton like that. So we are landlocked and we have to be creative in how we do it.
Would it be possible to change on the health center some of their beds to become at least temporary beds for residents who has need of more care, like a memory care? So
could we do a different thing with the health center? We could. That's a longer process than just an immediate emergency process. Delicensing a bed, relicensing and increasing it, and then splitting that area. I mean, I don't know if you've been up to the health center, it's kind of like a figure 8 loop track up there. Be very difficult to portion off and say, well, just these beds are memory care and just these beds are health center. How do you staff it? How do you ensure that there's no cross contamination or infection preventions in place? That's very complex, and I rarely see it done, to be honest with you. Usually a better option is to find a better mix of assisted living and memory care suites. Yeah. Do we know how many people came from the outside? We do. We know that. It's not something we normally make public, to be honest with you. Sure, you can. I'll even ask Debbie if she's comfortable us sharing that information. It's not a normal thing that I would almost ask why. What's your concern? Usually when there's a dig for additional information, it's the question behind the question is, are you managing it correctly for us? Unless you're just super curious.
I know some people that never do everything. I don't know how many. I don't care about names.
So imagine I told you it's 10 of 16. What are you going to do with that information? Cool. So her response was she's just going to get pissed off. Well, then I'll tell you what, I'm not going to tell you. I want to keep you happy. I want to keep you less stressed. And I apologize to do that in a public forum, but I do this a lot. I mean, I'm happy to share information. It's one of the things I actually share with your resident council. This community, I've had more requests for detailed information than I've ever seen at any community I've been to. That's wonderful. That means you're involved and you're passionate about this community. But then sometimes I ask, well, what are you want to do with the information? And the response I do get is, I don't really know what I want to do with the information. I just want to know. And usually that comes from a sign. I'm just going to be blunt and honest, not in your case. Usually it comes from a sign of mistrust. It comes from a sign of that, not from yours, but I'm just saying in general, when we're trying to find that information, we've screwed up in some way. We may not feel that, or you may not feel that we are managing that process appropriately, and you'd like to be involved in those types of things. It does usually end up in people upset, but it doesn't mean I won't give you the information. I'm happy to. I just don't know that that's something we normally share. I do assure you, though, the process is going to get fixed. I promise. It's number 1 on my list right now. That's not true. Galleria, then this. Yes.
Comment and a question. The reason that people want to know these things is it's a matter of trust. They want to trust you.
Agreed.
And they want to trust that you're taking care of us. And by sharing that information with us, we can convince ourselves that you're here for the right reason.
I understand. That's actually what I was alluding to. It usually boils down to trust and or a instance in where we have created a mistrust in you, in the processes or anything like that, like the Fred situation. That's going to have ramifications across the community. We need to own that. We need to say that we screwed it up. We need to say that we need to get a process in place, and we need to build that trust back. And I agree.
That doesn't mean we're not noisy. So,
Yeah, well, I wouldn't expect anything less.
But the question is, as you can tell, it's an emotionally charged, financially charged issue. And it's been a latent problem not addressed for a long time here. And the new guy coming in is not going to know probably where to start. And by the time he finds out, it's going to go unattended for a long time. How can you accelerate that process of learning and organizing for him?
Well,
and Los Altos has the same problem because they got a new guy too, or a new person.
Sure. A lot of that depends on the tribe in which they work with. So other EDs definitely lean on each other. Every week, there's an executive director meeting of different regions that get together. Debbie's region meets together every week. They actually had their call this morning, and there's 6 executive directors on that call. Of those 6, one of them, I've known Rocky. Her name is actually Rochelle. We all just call her Rocky because we love the movie and she's cool. She works down in Rosewood. She's been with the company 26 years. So there is experience and other things outside. Debbie's there to support as well. but there are other executive directors that they lean on and they ask those questions. The new executive director for Hillside was actually on that call and getting introduced to that team today. So we are resources. Our cell phones are available. Know that this community now has a special place in my heart. So I'll be reaching out to your new executive director just to offer support, offer how I can help. And all the team members here now know me and they all have my cell phone. I call them, they text me. So assured that I am there also to be any support that they need. How do we get them up to speed fast? There is a list of things that I've strategically been working on. I would almost call it a strategic plan for this community. The low-hanging fruit, the stuff that we've already addressed, big picture items that need to continue to be addressed, all of that is passed down. Wherever I get to in that plan, whenever it kind of pauses or whenever they pull me out and there's somebody else comes in, I sit down with them and do a full transition with them so that they kind of understand all the things I've been working on, where I'm at in all those processes. And then they have my phone number. So if any of those things get dropped, they can give me a call. You all have my phone number too. Feel free to use it. You have my email. It's not going to change. Feel free to, I'm happy to be that interference if you need it for a little bit. We're all human good. We're one company. So I'm happy to be at your disposal for as long as you need. Yeah. Until I die. Or until I move in. That's what I was just actually mentioning. Her question was, are there any Fred or Carmen situations? We're doing a full review right now. I hope to not uncover any more, but if I do, we'll deal with them immediately. Yep. I think they were at 22 when 12 or under 20 when I first got here. They've completed 48 now. They're going to get through the rest by the end of this year. Yep. Yep. Question, comment more was we should also in this process kind of look at the financial and see if anybody's going to need benevolence. So just so you know, as part of that, in your contract, it actually states that if you're in a you've had financial changes that are more than 10% of what you had originally told us, it's actually the resident's responsibility to come to us and let us know. We don't do a financial qualification every year. We don't know where you're at financially. We don't know what things that you've had go on from a health perspective that maybe were expensive, surgeries, fun vacations, sending things to grandkids, whatever the case may be. So if your financial situation has changed, that is actually the resident's responsibility to come to us to let us know that. Now, I do know that this community has 29, I believe, below market rate apartments available from the county, as well as I think there's 2 available still even in there. So I don't see that. Right now, you have 2 people on benevolence at the community as a whole. Other questions? We can talk about anything. That can't be it. There's got to be some more stuff. What's the timeline for the Galleria project? Great question. So right now, I committed to making sure that we give ample time for comments, but not too much time that it delays the project. That ends next Tuesday. So all the comments we're accepting all the way through next Tuesday. We may cut it off early, to be honest with you, and that's not to slight anybody. I just feel like we've gotten a decent amount. I can tell how much feedback I'm getting, and it's kind of slowly trickling off now, where I get maybe 1 a day right now, where before it was 15 a day, so to speak. So we may close that up early. I'm hoping to get a final presentation created for the following Monday or Tuesday. So the 27th or 28th of kind of, this is our go forward plan. This is what we've gone with. I know that either way at that meeting, there will be some hurt feelings. There will be some anger. There will be some frustrations. Then we'll get over it eventually, maybe, and then we'll get the project done. Because at the end of the day, from what I've heard from everyone, is regardless of the direction we go, they want it moved forward. That is the key. And everybody wants the end result of, we need to do something. We need new furniture. We need new paint. And if we get stuck in this paralysis by analysis phase, we'll never get anything moved forward. So we need to give that to you. We will. So my hope is that'll be a Monday or Tuesday. The following week, which would be the 27th or 28th, we'll get a presentation out and then we'll move forward. The next step is to get everything back from the town, get what's called final permits get going, and then get final contractor selected. We'll put it out to bid for probably 2 or 3 contractors to give us bids on how much it will cost, and then we'll go forward. My guess is you'll probably start January, February, first quarter next year for sure. The project will start.
But we still have the crappy chairs.
You chose those chairs.
Looks really nice. Those chairs, when I went in there, Vincent was in there, I said, wow, I love these chairs. And he said, those are for the poker table. And I thought, well, what about these chairs? He said, no, these are the chairs you're gonna have here. I said, they're unacceptable. They don't have, he said, they're gonna put wheels on them, which they need, but they don't all have arms for us to get up there. So they need new chairs in that room, or they need to take those chairs into the dining room and bring the chairs from the dining room that look better into the game room.
Who's this they? Who's this they? This ambiguous they. Whoever they is, I guess they're going to handle that for you. I understand what you're saying. So if you couldn't hear her comment, it was about the game room that first off, we've done some updates. If you haven't been around or seen it, we threw some new paint on the walls, matched it across, added lighting. We actually even changed the lighting again today. I didn't like the lighting that I chose, so I fixed it. The color was a little bit off, and we wanted it to be a little bit brighter, honestly. So it's even brighter now. The lumen count is, but for people who don't want it brighter, don't worry. We installed a dimmer switch. Hey. See, we thought of everything. We got you. We're building trust again. So there's a dimmer switch in there. So if it's too bright, you can actually dim it down now. But even little things like that. So when we were talking, her comment was the chairs that are in there just don't work very well. They don't have arms. I think the chairs themselves are probably what you like because you chose those for the dining room. So I would assume the comfort of the chair and the fit and everything like that's good. It's the lack of arms and lack of casters on the front, so they're easy to move. So that is going to be fixed. That's already in the process. Vincent does know that. Maybe he was confused by the question. The other part of it is we had a donation to the community for the new poker table with the chairs. That was actually resident driven, resident funded. Yeah. So if you love those chairs and you have a big bank account, I'd be happy to buy more of those chairs on your behalf. I'll even name them after you if you want. Put little badges on them. That's the honest truth. You all know this from a budget standpoint. There's a finite amount of dollars in a budget. When a resident stands up and says, hey, I'd love to buy something for the community, we usually say yes, as long as you don't have strings attached. Strings attached are usually like, well, I'm going to buy 6 chairs, but only me and my 6 friends can sit in them and nobody else can. That's not acceptable. When you donate to the community, it's for all of the community. So if you want to, and anybody listening out there wants to make that donation, I'd be happy to purchase the exact same chairs that you love for the rest of it. Until then, we will be using the current chairs that were from the dining room, and we will be getting ones with arms and front casters. And we're also, the table itself that bought, they're too high. Vincent, I already mentioned that to him because I sat down and I understood. I've learned over my years of experience that when a resident sits down and they put their arms on it, it has to be at a certain height. Otherwise you get a crease in your arm and it's very uncomfortable. So I checked for that, and I already have them cutting down the legs by 1.25 inches, which will drop them to the height of before.
Because the poker chair sitting at the table was perfect.
Yep, designed just to be that way. Agreed.
Well, good, thank you.
My pleasure.
Today?
When are they going to get cut? Today? Soon. I actually don't know when Vincent's can do it, but I do know he was running a fire drill this morning as requirement for the state stuff. So that does take a little bit priority, but it will get done. I promise I move fast. Yep.
When I was in there this morning, when Vaden was unpacking the chairs, there are only 4 chairs at the poker table, and there's 7 of us that play. And we need rollers on both sides, because now they've got rollers on the front of those chairs without arms, but not on the back. So you can't scoot the chair backwards.
I appreciate the feedback. I'll tell you, we rarely in senior living ever buy chairs that have 4 wheels.
Yeah.
Can you imagine why?
Yes.
Yep. Because if you go like this,
Right.
you kick the chair out and then you go to sit down and that chair's no longer there. So we always only do 2 casters on the front. She said there was only 4 chairs ordered. That's what was donated. So it was either accept the donation
Right.
or tell them no because they didn't buy us enough chairs. Now, if you want to buy the additional 3, I take check, I take cash, I take credit card. I'll do whatever you want. Other than that, you're welcome to use the chairs that are currently in there. I'm happy to
Yeah.
do that. If it's something that's super important to this community, know that your avenue for doing that is to talk to your resident council. And during the budget process, the resident council brings those up as capital improvements. Capital improvement budgets are created and yours has already been created for next year.
Yeah.
Now, if it is super something you really want and we've already done the budget, but you still really want it, we can actually do what's called trading projects. So if there's a project next year that maybe you don't want as much as you want something else, Vincent and your executive director have the ability to switch out that project for another one. So keep that in mind, but work through your resident council. I know Flo is very reachable. She definitely listens to you as residents. So that's the avenue I would recommend.
Yeah, well, I guess the biggest thing is that they don't have arms. And yesterday I sat in my walker for 2.5 hours and it was way not comfortable at all.
Understood.
But, you know, in the dining room, the chairs have something on the bottom of the back legs so they scoop back.
They
Yeah.
are the exact same chairs. The
But it
difference that
looks like it has a piece of felt or something. I don't know.
usually felt on carpet doesn't slide. It's usually
Yeah.
a nylon pin that goes on the
Well, I
back
don't
or
know
a
what
metal.
it is. Yeah,
So I can check the chairs for you.
yeah.
There is 2 chairs that I saw that didn't even have feet on them that were in that room. You might have been
Yeah.
in one of those where that thing is just metal on carpet and that ain't going anywhere.
Yeah,
Vincent did purchase what we need. We're waiting for it to come in.
okay.
I already approved that order for casters and sliders on the back,
Mhm.
as well as armed chairs.
Yeah, okay.
That's there. Now, if you want something above and beyond, again, I take cash, check, credit card, whatever you want. Yep. Other questions? Yes. Ooh, good call. I forget we have the mic to pass. Yes.
While you're dealing with wheels and gliders for the seating, there are several chairs in the dining room that have lost the back glider. And so you sit down. and
wobble?
Wobble all over the place. But
It's part of the balance program here.
yeah.
We try to get your
But
core
it
strength
is-
up.
They are designed to help you move back and forth.
Understood. I'll do that's a great point. I usually have somebody in the room who takes notes for me. So let me just take a note real quick. Little wobbly. Yeah. We will fix that. I'm just going to make a note real quick if you'll bear with me. So we'll take a look at all those. There's leveling pins underneath. They're very cheap, but they also, when you move tables and chairs a lot, they tend to break and fall off over time. It's something we should have in stock on site so we can fix those types of things. But I'll check it out for you. Yes. Do you want the microphone? Do you want the microphone?
Sorry.
You have a voice, but people on
Yes.
Zoom can't
Well,
hear
I
you.
can talk a heck of a lot louder too, but anyway, there's another opportunity to get things for activity through the activities lady. We play hand and foot on Thursday nights and we use 5 decks of cards and we get shufflers. I bought a shuffler myself because I got so tired of the ones that weren't working. But we can request through the activities directors that we need a new shuffler or we need 5 decks of cards or whatever we need for the games that are played there. I guess I don't know what other things you can ask for through the activities director. Is there a list?
Sure. The list is as big as you can dream. Just be ready for a no. So that's the honest truth. If there is ideas that you have, we'd love to hear them. If there's requests that you think, hey, I think this would be a great purchase, The normal response, he's in the room, so he's going to hear me tell you what the normal response is I love the idea. Let me check and see if there's others who are interested in this idea as well. Because if we acted on every person's individual idea, we would have a lot of little things floating around, and maybe it's not the best use of funds. Okay. So he will check. Once he checks and he finds out, hey, there's at least 4 or 5, 6 people that want to do this. His goal in life is to ensure that you're having a great time here. Okay. So he will absolutely purchase those things. He has a budget to purchase those things.
Okay.
So letting them know, like if you say your shuffler's broken, you've been using a shuffler and it's broken, we'll get you a new one. Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll get
ask
you new
him,
decks.
because we do need another shuffler.
Yeah.
We
And-
usually have 3 tables playing, and that would work out really well.
Happy to do it. He's sitting right there. He'll tell you all about it. But we do want your requests. Know that you also have an auxiliary fund here. Your resident council can help with those things. But we're all working towards the same goal, which is helping you have a great time. So he will always buy those types of things for you. Yep.
I was just going to say the same thing. For some of the items that benefit the residents, you can sometimes ask the social committee or the auxiliary committee, because they also do purchasing.
Yep. All the little fun things. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Well, a different item. I don't know whether this has come up before, but I sure wish you would install comfort pumps, so I wouldn't have to, and I bet you a lot of other people don't have to waste so much water waiting for the hot water to come. Anybody else have that trouble?
Understood. So what you're saying is in your apartment, you turn on the hot water and it's cold for a while and you're just letting it run until it comes to hot, correct?
Yeah, wasting a lot of water.
Yeah. So there's 2 ways to address those. One is what you just talked about.
Comfort pump.
Yep. Second is actually addressing your recirc lines. So all lines and water actually is recirculated through the community. Those valves over time fail, and the ability for those recirc pumps to actually send water, because you can imagine we send water from this location and we got to send it way over to that location. What actually happens within the mechanicals of the community is we send the water, and then there's a pump on the other side that sends it back to be reheated, and then we send it again. So it actually stays hot through in the line. Now, if over time the valves have closed, deteriorated, they need to be rebuilt. The clay valves inside those things need to be rebuilt every 4 to 7 years. And I don't know this community if they have, but I will mention it on my list to Vincent to kind of let him know that that's an issue here. And we'll see what plans, if there is one, to address it for sure. There's other causes for that. Boiler capacity. If you have too many people showering all at the same time and your boiler can't handle it, or you have a boiler down. I mean, there's many versions of what could be, but let's look at it, and I'll make sure that you note that the overall problem is immediate hot water is not happening.
There is a bigger problem, and it's the whole plumbing here is obsolete. People who lives on the first floor, where lines get clogged from other apartments, and then they getting garbage up in the shower, and the toilet doesn't flush, and they cannot stay in their apartments. It happened to one friend of me this weekend. And, the guy on who was on service was there working, but he didn't have the right tools. So, the thing is that someone should look over the plumbing system, which is 30 years old and not of a capacity for modern plumbing needs.
I'll take your feedback as noted. I agree that we all need to be able to use our plumbing and pipes and things like that. I would probably tell you, just out of experience, replumbing this entire site, you would be better off knocking the entire site down and building an entire new site. So I don't know that type of request will get traction, but we can fix what is the root cause of some of those issues. Buildings that were created years and years and years ago, when they come in, usually the only thing you retrofit when you do it is your electricity, because electricity is usually run wrong or old wires and things like that. But usually plumbing systems sometimes aren't. When you try to go plumbing, it gets very expensive very quick. Not diminishing your comment though, it is important for us to be able to address those issues. And it sounds like the person that we had addressed them didn't even have the tools that they needed to get it done. That's unacceptable. And we'll look at that. So it sounds like people might be flushing things they shouldn't. And in that area, it's a little bit more of an issue. I'll ask Vincent kind of what happened with that one and see if we can get a plan for addressing those in future. I can't commit to replumbing the site though. That's a big check for me to sign and then I just walk away. We'll do it. Bye. Yes, tools are important. Tools to do your job, super important. And the ability to rectify issues on demand, such as, a backup of a line or something like that, all needs to absolutely be done. Other questions? Yes. She's coming with a microphone for you.
A lot of times people use the wrong washing machine soap. Too many suds. They have to buy the laundry soap that has HV.
HE, high
Yeah,
efficiency. Yep.
Yeah. So that it doesn't clog the lines.
Yep. She was just mentioning that it's helpful to, when you're buying your soap, to take a look at the correct soap for the lines. We all think we've known that over the years. If you put palm olive in your washing machine, you get a lot of suds. So ensuring you have the right ones will stop that from happening for sure. HE is a little symbol on top of, now I'm going to add a comment. Not everybody should use HE unless the machine that you have is an HE machine. On the machine itself, it'll have an uppercase E or an uppercase H and a lowercase E. It stands for high efficiency. The detergent that you buy will have that little symbol on it as well. The symbol is usually blue and you'll see it there. So if your machine is that and you buy that soap, it puts less suds into the water and does more with less. Now, not every machine can use HE. So I don't know which machines are out in this campus. I actually have never ventured that far, but just food for thought.
My washing machine has a setting on it that can tell how many clothes I've got in there and will put only so much water.
Correct.
Not every machine in this facility has that.
Correct.
And some people fill it up even though they don't have a lot because that's just what they're used to doing. I'm not sure what washing machines these people here buy. Do they buy the HE machines?
We do. So when we're doing a retrofit, and most machines nowadays are HE and high efficiency machines. So it's actually hard to buy one that's not.
So it's on the machine somewhere?
Yep.
I'll go home and look for it.
Yep. It's a little symbol, capital H, lowercase e.
Okay. Because I just use the little pod. I don't.
And I'll bet if you're
measure
buying
anymore.
pods, are you buying Tide?
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at you. Tide is nice. And
No,
Tide
it's
is
not
HE.
Tide. I buy Kirkland's
Oh,
brand of the
Kirkland,
pods.
Costco fan.
It's
I will tell you, those
and
are
it's
also HE.
it's Persil. It's actually, if you go to the grocery store and you look at the different brands, there's a thing they're called Persil, Persil. That's the detergent that they use for Kirkland. They had a write-up at one time, 30 or 40 items that they provide with the Kirkland brand and who's really behind it.
Yes. Kirkland brand, I can tell you, is HE. Yep. So is Tide, mostly, especially the pods, because it comes in a little orange bucket with the blue top. Yep. I know way too much about weird stuff. Way too much about weird stuff. Other questions? Yes.
Just a point of clarification. Do you have access to TLG forum?
The question was, do I have access to TLG forum? I don't, and I've heard that something like that exists, but I don't know how to access or what it is, other than I think residents talk to each other on it. Is that right?
There have been many comments about the Galleria project that I assume you haven't seen.
That may be correct. We did let people know though that we're providing feedback, the avenues in which to do so. And one of them that I'd never actually mentioned used TLG Forum or whatever it is because I didn't have access to that. So my guess is most people that have provided feedback, it will be duplicative in that they've probably already given me their feedback. And then they've also posted on there to talk to other residents as well. But feel free, if you have access to that, to encourage them if they have not given me their feedback and they've only posted it in that space, that I do not have access to that space. Same as if you don't know, your Cubigo, TLG Connect, the little chat feature, because I roam to multiple communities, I don't have access to the chat feature because it's just how the system works. You either are at one community and you can chat, or you're at multiple communities and you can't chat. I'm a can't chat. So if you've chatted me, I'm not ignoring you. I can't see that you've done that. So please reach out in another way. Email works, cell phone works, text works. Anybody who's reached out to me, I promise I'm very quick to get back to you. So if it's been more than a day that you've reached out to me and you haven't heard back, reach out again. I never received what you were reaching out. Some people who had an issue forgot the dot between my first name and my last name. So it's Judd.Severance. Other questions? I don't know how long these chats usually go. I could talk all day. How long I don't want to take your time. An hour? Oh, okay. We're within that. Other questions? Do the people online ever ask questions? Okay. I love you guys. She asked, do I want to say anything? Love this community, love the team, love the residents here. It's been an amazing adventure. I know it's been a bumpy one. I know these types of transitions are very difficult. I'm glad I was able to play a part in yours. I've met a lot of wonderful people at this community. So, yep. Was that a question? Oh, no. Okay. Does that mean I've decided to move? Unfortunately not. My wife and 3 sons, you'd have to convince them, and they love Boise. Probably more so they love their girlfriends that are in Boise. You know what's not here? Their girlfriends. And I have 3 boys, 16, 17, 18. All of them have girlfriends. So you can imagine what that would be like. Plus, my wife has lived in Boise her entire life. She was actually born at the hospital downtown Boise. So although she's traveled all over the world with me, she was with me during the Hyatt days. So she's been all over the world. She's still Boise's home. So, but I'm only an hour and 23-minute flight away. How big is that community? I think that is Boise. Yep. Boise is 13.3 acres. We are probably just a little bit bigger than you, but about the same in all the other levels. Like you have 16 memory care, we have 24 memory care. So it's minor differences, but very, very similar in size. 273. Yeah, if you want to know the actual differences, other than we're pretty much the same, the biggest differences is our public spaces are a little bit, and then this is not a sales pitch. Our public spaces are a little bit bigger. So I have a theater, I have a bistro, we have a bar. These are all in separate rooms. These are not connected to each other. So we have a bar room, we have a bistro room, we have a main restaurant where everyone eats out, kind of like you do. We have card rooms, theaters. We have a quilting room. We have a puzzle room. We have a card room. We have all these like rooms, but they all are kind of spread out throughout the community. Biggest footprint difference is that we're 4 stories on most of the independent living. We have 12 outlying cottages with their own homes, kind of like your patio homes here. And our skilled nursing is probably the most unique in all of Human Good. We have 3 buildings. They're all separate and each one of them has 16 private suites that all have their own bathrooms and bedrooms, and it's the greenhouse model. So in each of those 16 bed houses, everything is contained within that house. So all the food is actually cooked in that house in the main kitchen and served directly to residents from that actual kitchen right there. So when you walk in, you kind of smell them making breakfast, smell lunch, smell dinner, smell cookies. Woohoo. Way to my heart. But there's 3 different houses that do that. So that's the biggest probably difference from a footprint standpoint. Other questions? We do not have a swimming pool. Yep. That's one of the things we do not have. We do not have a swimming pool. See, in Boise, we actually have 4 seasons, and 2 of those seasons are very cold. We have snow. It's coming. We could do an indoor. It's one of the things we actually talked about years and years and years ago. I was pleasantly surprised when I came to this community. I saw a pool, and normal usage rate of pools is 2.3%. So that means of the whole time that you're upkeeping the pool, the chemicals and all that type of stuff, 2.3%. Everybody loves the idea of a pool, but when it actually comes time to put on that bathing suit and get in that pool, it's kind of that barrier to success. So, you know, the reality is we have residents who wanted it. And then I asked them how many days a week they'd be swimming in it. And they said, no, I want it for my grandkids. So a lot of, for us, it just became an idea that our residents weren't actually going to use it. Now, when I got here, I was walking past your parking lot and the pool was full of residents. That is wonderful. It's a great exercise, great on your joints and everything like that. So I'm glad you use it here. Boise, we just wouldn't use it. It sounds like you lost your exercise person. Can you find somebody? I'm going to let Adrian do that.
They're looking for someone new right now.
Adrian said it's in the works and they're looking for somebody right now. That would be his whole thing, and he's great at it. So we'll let him.
And if I don't find somebody, I'll be out there doing it.
Even better. I love that. Other questions or things you want to know? All right. Well, I'll leave it at that. Oh, no, don't. It was a pleasure. If you have any additional questions, if not, I'll be here tomorrow for the budget, and Debbie will also be here to give an update on the process for selecting a new executive director. Otherwise, I'll hang out here if you have any personal questions you wanted to ask me. It was great seeing you all. The question was, when do I head home? I'm actually here all the way through next Tuesday. So I'm here this weekend all the way through. So you'll see me all the way through till next Tuesday, and then I'll be home for Thanksgiving.